As of the recording of this video, it's currently mid-November 2020, and I can tell you the COVID-19 vaccine, it's already available. Now, I have a government job, and last week, the head of the department that I work in, he sent out a mass email saying, don't kill the messenger, but I have to send this out. If you want, you can get a COVID-19 vaccine. This is not mandatory, but I'm just letting you know it's an option for you. So most people in the general public, I don't think they have any idea that it's already out there. It's already being made available to people. Now, the issue is that right now it's mandatory, but as we all know, especially if Biden takes office, with a lot of liberals, what they tell us, it's all lies, it's all things that they don't mean, and there's that old liberal lie of my body, my choice. It's not going to be optional if they have their say. Now, the way I feel about vaccines, I'm not going to get the vaccine, I'm not getting any vaccines, but if you want to, I don't mind that they're available for people that want to. I just want, hey, my body, my choice. And I think in America, we should have the freedom to own our own bodies. And that's the problem. A lot of people truly do not believe that we should have ownership over our own bodies, especially, ironically, the liberals that spout my body, my choice to you. And we're seeing this to a lesser extent already with the mask mandates and the mask policies. Now, yesterday, I went to work at a different building that I don't normally work in, and this was downtown, so I had someone drop me off. And as I was going in the door, they were telling someone, hey, you need a mask to come in here, and if you don't have one, you have to go get one. Then they saw me and they said, hey, we know who you are, come right on in, go to the back, you're down there. And I felt a little funny about that because the guy ahead of me, he's like, what's going on? Why does this guy get some sort of special exemption? So a couple hours later, when I went back out front, I said, to be nice to those guys working out there, I said, hey, I should probably grab a mask. And they said, yeah, I guess that would be cool. And they said, at least if there's people coming up, and you can see in advance if there's people that are going to come in through the cameras, through the monitors. So I put on the mask, especially if someone's coming in, just because it was a good appearance. But it was lunch break, and I shoved the mask in my pocket, and I walked across the street. There's nowhere really to eat. So I walked another block to the public library, and I figured, well, I'll be in here for the next hour and hang out. Now, as I entered the public library, you can't miss it. There's two sets of doors. On both sets, like all plastered next to each other, there's signs saying, you have to wear a mask in here. Well, I figured I'm going to test that. So I walk in, and I'm looking at the new books, and a librarian walks over to me, and she said, do you have a mask? And I took it out. I showed her. She said, put it on. And I put it on over my chin. Didn't even wear it properly. But I guess it was enough to please her. Then I went in the back of the library for the next 40 minutes or so, looked at old books, didn't wear the mask. There was no one anywhere near around me. But I figured, well, I'm going to leave. I'm just going to put the mask back in my pocket. And I was assuming it wouldn't be an issue because I'm leaving. I'm walking out the front door. What are they going to say? Hey, you can't be in here without a mask? I'm leaving anyways. They probably won't even say anything to me is what I was assuming. And as I'm about to walk out those doors, this old lady, this librarian, she says to me, where's the mask you were wearing? And I said, it's in my pocket, don't worry about it. Because I was on my way out. But for whatever reason, she decided that she was going to show her authority over me. And she was going to get on her case. And she was going to be dramatic as if I was making everyone sick in this library. So she had this really bad attitude towards me and this bad tone of voice. And she said, you need to have that on in here at all times. Meanwhile, her mask is down below her nose. And I said, lady, you're not even wearing yours properly. Pull it up over your nose. Now, I'm the nicest guy in the world, and I'm always trying to be out spreading positive vibes and happiness. But if you talk to me in a certain tone of voice, I'm going to give it right back to her. I didn't yell at her. I wasn't going to cuss at her. And I'm not looking for any public altercations because of the nature of my job, even though from that last video at the Trump rally, I made the local news and I was featured pretty prominently, I guess. Oh well. But I was giving her that same energy back that she was giving me. And she pulls her mask up when I said, pull it up. She pulls it up over her nose, and she has this look on her eyes like she is so shocked that someone would talk back to her and challenge her authority as librarian. Doesn't she know that don't I know that she's supposed to have power over me as the librarian? And she goes, if you come back here, you'd better have a mask on. And she's like giving me this look like, I'm going to call the cops on you. I'm going to have you arrested for this. First of all, what a lot of these goofballs don't understand is that, number one, mask mandates are not law. You can't arrest someone from it. Maybe you could arrest someone for disorderly conduct, for trespassing, which would be a hard thing to do in a public library. Think about this. A homeless person, a bum, a hobo, they can walk into the library right after having crapped their pants. They can walk in, smell up the place, make the place filthy with their excrement, and they won't kick that person out. But a professional man, if he's not wearing the face diaper, that guy, he needs to be dealt with harshly. But these bums that come in after crapping their pants, stinking up the joint, and in most cities across America now, public libraries, they're nothing more than homeless shelters. That's just a refuge for the homeless to come in and relax and have a good time at the working man's expense. And now the city I'm in, it never used to have any kind of homeless population. But now there is one. Why is that? Well, it's because liberal policies implemented brought them here. So now we have all kinds, and they're coming from places like New York, California. They're coming from places as far away as Africa. And just yesterday, a insane African was released to the streets in the city I live in. And I'm not criticizing the judge that did it because I understand his rationale. He was caught between a rock and a hard place because we have this insane African, and he said, this guy's taking up a lot of resources. He's in the jail. He's been in the penitentiary before, and he's clearly mentally ill, but he's taking up all this money and resources, taxpayer money. They're funding this guy's life basically to be housed and mealed and given meals. So what can we do with him? So he decided the best thing in his discretion, and I'm not criticizing him, was releasing this crazy African guy to the streets in my city because they were talking about what's the most appropriate thing for this guy, because when he's out, he commits crimes, he's clearly mentally ill, so is the jail or the penitentiary the best place for him? Maybe it's the state hospital. What is the most appropriate place for this African guy? Well, I have an answer what the most appropriate place for this African man is. Africa. We put him on a boat or even an airplane, we ship him back, we let his own people take care of him. In America, we're told nonstop, Black Lives Matter and the evil white oppressors are oppressing black people. Well, I'm from a city that's traditionally almost all white. Well, they're sure moving here in droves to be amongst their oppressors. So that kind of tells you that whole white oppression thing, it's totally a lie. If we were abusing these people, oppressing them, they wouldn't be moving here in droves to live with us. So that's totally false. But anyways, after that, I go back to work, have a lovely afternoon at work, and I got dropped off, and my thinking was, well, we'll have warmed up in the afternoon, so I'll have a nice 3-mile or so walk back home and get a little good exercise. And I'm walking down this kind of main street in our city, and it's an older section of the city. And even back when I grew up here, it was older, but it was still decent, it was safe. But I was thinking, man, it's looking a lot more sketchy, a lot more unsafe. And at one point, I'm walking, and ahead of me, a black guy comes out, and a fat white woman comes out. And if you don't know much about black people, and it's not that I have anything against black people, but a common thread that they have, black guys like two things. They like fat white women, and they like pit bulls. So they just come out, and I'm walking by, and these two pit bulls come running out. They grab one by the leash, pull him back. The others kind of like, come get me, and they call it off. And the woman's like, oh, don't worry, he's safe. But I was thinking, thank God I'm not with my family. Thank God I'm not with my baby right now. And in my line of work, most people, they're very into guns and they carry guns at most time. And I was thinking, it's kind of crazy. I'm one of the only ones that don't. It's kind of crazy that I'm walking around out here without having a gun. If that dog would have clinged on and I could have pulled out a gun to shoot it, well, it could have been a lot safer resolved, because who knows what happens. It's very unpredictable. But anyways, I walk further. I walk another half mile or so, and I see a law enforcement vehicle, a marked law enforcement vehicle, this big truck, drive past me. And then I watch it. It turns around and it starts driving back towards me. And then all of a sudden it pulls up next to me and the door opens up and I hear a woman inside. She says, "Hey, you don't have to walk home. It's cold out there. Hop in. I'll give you a ride home." It turns out it's someone I'm acquainted with through my job, even though I haven't worked there very long. So I got a ride home in this big, fancy law enforcement truck. And I was saying to her, I hope the neighbors are out. I know earlier in the video I said I'm not looking to attract attention to myself, but I said, hey, I hope all the neighbors are out to see us pull up in this vehicle. They're going to think I'm a really important guy if law enforcement is driving me around and dropping me off at home. The neighbors weren't out. I was hoping my family would just be randomly passing by the window to see the vehicle I'm pulling up, because I figured I'd look like a big shot to them and impress them. But that didn't happen. But wouldn't it be funny if this lady that thought that somehow I was going to get arrested if I had the local law enforcement drop me off at the library next time? But this lady that it's looked like she wanted to call the police on me. Another thing that these people that want penalties for not following the mask mandates, they don't think it through of what can you do? Well, you fine people. Okay, what happens if they don't pay the fine? Well, you put out a warrant for their arrest. They go to the jail. The jail in our town, it's for 2 counties, and it has a max capacity of around 550. Now, it's currently just below 300, and for medical observation for new people, they maybe only really have about 20 to 40 slots for new people. So if everyone, not just in this town, but across the country said, we're not going to obey these rules, there's literally nothing they can do. Even if they want to jail people, they don't have the room for them. It would be so easy to overcrowd. 100 people doing it, which, by the way, a lot of the cops and local law enforcement, they don't want to arrest people on minor offenses, especially things that aren't even really crimes. They want to be out busting drug dealers, murderers, people doing really serious stuff that are endangering people, the average law enforcement official, I'd say. But they don't want to be arrested. Right now, most jails, they're not taking people on anything less than a felony, and they have to take people on felonies. But it doesn't take much resistance from the public across America. Just say, we're not going to do this. And I guarantee they will back down very quickly, and it would be very easy. The fight would be over before it begins, as long as you organize and get enough people to say enough is enough. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out my other ones, and have a good day.